Hello, and welcome to I Choose You, the podcast about cooking and eating Pokemon. My name is Jeremy Zielik. I'm the host and Alton Brown of the group, and joining me this week, as always, is
your friend on this show, Ben Montoya.
Ian Davis, the Charlie Brown of the show.
Good grief. And Evan Aubrey.
All right. So, to our wonderful listeners, or maybe video watchers, you might notice something's a little different today, which is that there's sun streaming through the window of my room.
Can you hear it?
Yes, you can hear it.
Can you hear the sun touching the microphone, listener?
It sounds like bacon sizzling.
Yes. And that's because it's fucking the morning, baby.
Yeah.
We've got a traffic copter going over the scene right now.
Do radio shows have helicopters? Do they have that budget?
See, I don't think radio shows need helicopters. I'm just going to be honest with you. I think they don't need that. I think that's more for the video side of things.
You know, though, like I feel like everything in podcasts has been done, but no one has podcasted from the air.
So you're not wrong.
I would say the issue might be is that the audio quality is quite poor.
What do you boys say we join the Mile High Club with our next podcast?
We all sneak into the bathroom with our recording equipment.
Yeah,
that would be so
good. As always, I would like to remind people that are basically our first 6 months of recording. We recorded at 9 a.m, like we're doing right now, which was very strange. And it's always strange when we do it again. But the schedule called for it. So here we are.
Boys are back.
They're bucking back. I'm drinking coffee because it's the morning.
Ian, are you drinking a Stein's worth of... Oh, you don't drink coffee. What is that?
Tea, baby. Irish breakfast.
Hell yeah.
This is my favorite mug. There are
nice.
a few things I'm attached to, but if anything happened to this mug, I would kill myself immediately.
Oh, okay.
Ben, what type of tea are you drinking?
Earl Grey, I think.
That is correct.
That's what you ordered?
Yeah.
Jeremy picked up coffee and tea for
us.
Mm-hmm.
Look at you go.
To accommodate, like such a good host, a gracious host would.
You know what's funny is that we're going to get a brunch after this, so we're really fucking millennials over here all with their brunches or whatever.
Jeremy cucked you, so you're like, oh, what are you drinking, Ben? What did I get you? You little slave. What do you? What am I making you eat?
I just picked them up tea, so I was like, oh, I don't know if they're like it's like blind taste test, Pepsi challenge with tea kind of situation.
I thought you were just asserting dominance.
Evan, what do you got? You got a tiny small mug.
I got a little cappuccino.
Nice. Or is it just a regular cup?
Oh, good point.
Yes.
Never gets old.
Anyway, yeah, never. You know what? We're still laughing.
My fucking giant hands. Oh.
A meme of Robert De Niro. Evan's so tall, and you're laughing.
I think this is a joke.
Yes. Anyway, we're pretty punchy, but we got Ian's got to go soon, which is sad. But what's not sad is the podcast, which is what we love to do. Here on the show.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's usually not sad. I think that's you could probably listen through every episode and catalog which ones are sad.
I don't know.
There's only probably a handful.
I would say 1-star reviews on Apple Podcasts would make to differ.
Yeah. I don't know. Are they calling us sad or just annoying? Those
probably
are different.
Both.
Yeah.
They are different.
I think you can chart how we feel based on an event that happened, when the pandemic happened, or maybe a little stressed out kind of situation.
Hey, we kept going.
We did keep going.
I remember the first time I got COVID and listened to an episode that you had recorded without me because I was sick, and I was walking around outside for the first time after being quarantined for a week, and was like, dang, we're really still out here doing this.
Yeah, we're doing the Lord's work.
Nothing can stop us.
Yeah. Ian?
So
a beacon of light through the darkest
times. We're that radio show in Fallout when you emerge from the vault.
Yes, and we got some hot tunes kind of situation.
We might.
This show does kind of give audio log that you would find in a post-apocalyptic video game vibe that you would just keep continuously finding, and you're like, that's kind of quirky, but it adds to the universe.
Yeah, you go to an abandoned restaurant and there's a bunch of discarded iPods that are still slightly charged, and you pick them up, and there's one episode of a podcast on each of them, and you listen to it. It's our show successively as we try to cook and eat Pokemon, and then the world ends. So which is basically how the show's going to go. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's an idea.
Mhm.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but GTA 6
yes,
Mhm.
is still in development.
yes, it's coming out next year.
Coming out next year. Infamously, the soundtrack to GTA and the radio stations that they have,
Oh,
big pop culture,
Yeah.
Big hits.
like when you know that you've hit the GTA soundtrack, you've like made it.
Mhm.
But I feel like now they're going to have to incorporate podcasts
Mm.
into the listening habits of your bespoke GTA character.
they really need to
Yes.
build in like road tripping as an experience for
It's-
GTA.
I mean, right? Because aren't they
Yeah.
building out the map to be like?
It's like life 1-to-1 the size of Miami or whatever.
Ben's
Yeah,
making
so you're going to need some podcasts.
Yes.
great point because when GTA 5 came out, podcasts didn't even exist yet. So now they have to.
I will say GTA 5 came out 11 years ago.
Holy
so
shit.
the first podcast serial had
definitely-
not even come out yet.
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel
First
like it was
podcast.
definitely pre-podcast boom. They
Yes.
existed, but like it wasn't like pop culture. Like killed children didn't like happen on TikTok pages that are like listen to my podcast.
Yes.
So now it's so ingrained in the culture that I feel like they kind of need it
Yes.
in the soundtrack.
And it could be us.
And I'm just,
Yeah.
it could be us.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like
Let's start a
we've got the backlog.
okay Kickstarter, GoFundMe to get
Get us a GTA 6.
yeah.
Get I Choose You in GTA 6. You know, my favorite thing about the GTA franchise is that it's made by British people. So
Oh,
That's true.
yes, it is
that
true.
feels wrong.
Yeah, it's
It's
developed by
appropriation.
Rockstar North. They're in like Manchester, England.
Is that why it's like such a hyper like visualization of America? Is
Yeah,
because
it's
they're like, this
because
is what
it's
we
like
think
all-
America's like.
Yes, because they
Mm.
only know like movies and stuff, which is
Ah.
fine. But it's I want to imagine like we call up the Rockstar offices and we're like, hello, and they're like, Gov blimey, how is it? And it's like we can bring you some real American culture with our show that will really ground the game for you.
Okay. Can the whole thing, gut it,
Yeah,
shut it down, give it to 50
Yeah.
Cent, let him do
Yeah.
it right.
Oh
Mm.
shit!
hold on. Oh God,
Podcast on the
50.
sand.
yeah,
Hit this big ass GTA.
Gator. Oh, what if you could steal a gator in GTA 6?
You better.
Gator Theft Auto.
You better.
Look. GTA 6 probably going to be like one of the biggest games of all time. GTA 5 is one of the most successful games of all time. It sold like 200 million copies or something crazy like that in the last 10 years. So if we can get our voice in front of 200 million people, I think that would be transformative. for
Ian
that
never has to
GTA
work
experience. Yeah.
God, that would be
Listener,
so nice.
click the link in the description to sign the petition
To
to get
get
I Choose You in GTA 6.
Do you think because
10 years in the
we
making.
because we mentioned the trademark term Pokemon, do they have to get licensed from Nintendo / the Pokemon company to?
Yeah, we don't want to get sued by like that other people who made the Pokemon with guns game.
If
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
if GTA got the license, does that cover us, or do we still get fucked?
No, that covers us. If they can get the license to like any of those pop songs, I'm sure Pokemon is no
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah.
Another version of this is because I know the GTA producers / people who make all those decisions are listening. They're always trying to get the new sound,
Yes.
the hot new sound.
Mhm.
I know they're listening. If it's possible to get maybe not all like 250 episodes of I Choose You into GTA 6, but maybe a select handful,
Mm-hmm.
I think we'd be willing to re-record some of the sections that
Mhm.
include, I mean, there's a lot of sections, but like include Pokemon by name,
Uh-huh.
and we can just replace it with like generic,
A funny word.
Food.
generic video game creature.
Yes.
Electric
you know.
Mouse.
Yes.
We re-record
exactly.
it word for word, but we just use the regular food.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rat. It's time to eat rat.
Really excited for this episode.
Wow. You know what? We've got again bright future for GTA and I Choose You ahead of us. You can tell it's the morning. Anyway, the listeners do sign that petition, and that we're gonna really make, I swear, and we can get going on that front. Next, let's talk about us. I Choose You, the podcast about cooking and eating Pokemon. every week we randomly select a Pokemon to cook and eat, and then we share recipes about it, and then we vote in a very democratic manner who has the best Pokemon recipe. This week's Pokemon is Eternatus, or as Ian texted us this morning, it's a skeletal cock and balls.
Nobody disagreed.
Nobody disagreed.
So it must be true. Well, Ian, you said you're the Charlie Brown of the group, and life's always shitting on Charlie Brown, but I'm going to give you a boost and say, hey, why don't you start us out this week?
Are you the Charlie Brown of the group because you're a bald boy?
And every time people see me, they think they're back in the pants.
Yes.
I wish my kids were just intellectual enough to like call me Charlie Brown. That would be like marginally amusing, because all I get is Walter White and Mr. Clean. And it's like,
this goddamn town.
yeah, do you guys know anyone else who's white and bald?
Bald.
It'd be even funnier if they called you Chuck, a la Peppermint Patty. Like that would be like one layer deep.
That'd
be
That's
Galaxy
like
Brain.
a peppermint patty. It'll be one layer deep.
That would be funny. That would be funny.
Are you calling us? Are you Charlie Brown? Let me try to guess. For you're trying to kick a football, and the person holding it takes it away from you.
That's half of it.
Okay, that's half of it. Interesting.
An eternal struggle, you might say.
Oh,
My entire life, since
and this is Charlie Brown speaking.
Since my entire life since June has just been trying to kick a football and getting it ripped out from underneath me every time. I land flat on my ass, grass stains on my yellow shirt, humiliated, wrapped in
Good
dough.
grief.
Good
Yeah.
fucking grief.
Wrapped in dough.
The other half, the big pumpkin.
Oh yeah, it's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Oh, okay.
It is Halloween.
And this Pokemon's quite a big pumpkin. Quite a great pumpkin.
Take note of the scrote. Look at
Is that like the part that's like at its center?
I think we all know what.
Take note of the scrote.
Evan, that's our next bumper sticker. Get on that, please.
God damn it! If you're reading this, you're too close.
Yeah.
You're too close to the scrote.
That'd be good if you had like truck nuts on your car. That'd be perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Before we continue, I brought up the trivia page, and it says Eternatus is the only Pokemon with a base stat total of 690.
Yep.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
So if you read about the deep lore on this guy, you know that the sack is leaking. And that leak is what's leading to all the Pokemon Gigamaxing and gigantifying.
Just Gigamaxed all over the place.
Exactly. And so I thought, like, what do you add to food to elevate it? And the answer is spice, right?
Oh, I was going to say yeast, like elevate literally.
Oh,
That's true.
yeah, that could have been good too. But
Okay.
spices, right? Like your food's bland. Your Pokemon's
Sure.
bland.
You need to leak all over it.
You leak some spices, some what is this fucker called?
Eternatus.
Eternatus.
Yeah.
Eternatusy. You had some like magic on it, and the Pokemon gets big. Pokemon big, not boring.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Spiced.
No.
Right.
This Pokemon's been spiced.
Spice.
Okay. So
Pumpkin
it's-
spice.
when you're saying it's spiced, it's like in Sword and Shield when they get real big.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's exactly what I'm referring
Kind of
to.
like the opposite of Shrinkgate from a couple seasons ago.
Yeah, where they get real small to go inside the Pokeballs.
Exactly. They're breaking out. They're busting out.
Yeah, and busting makes them feel good.
It sure does. So what I'm proposing is, I was like, okay, this motherfucker's just like a big spice ball that we grind down and we sprinkle on our Pokemon to make it bigger and better and tastier. And so I was like, what kind of spice? Salt, pepper, and I was like, no, it's the season.
Yes.
It's Chuck season. Pumpkin spice.
Yeah,
Love it.
Yeah.
The eternal spice.
The eternal.
Yes, the eternal spice.
Man,
Do you think that in Dune the spice is just pumpkin spice?
yeah.
Might as well be.
Yeah.
I'm also
Yeah.
realizing, long story short, I just got my phone replaced because it was broken and I made my background Mars. But maybe it's Dune.
It is Dune.
Spice.
Maybe it's...
Spice is life.
This is my recipe.
Okay.
I'm making for you pumpkin spice, pumpkin pie dip.
Oh, dip.
Oh.
A dip.
Oh.
Because it's football
Perfect for
season,
watching.
bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
Sounds delicious.
the medium-sized game is on because it's not the big game yet.
Correct.
And you've got to you're hosting a party for your favorite team. So
But you know what,
you
Jeremy?
got to break out that dip.
Medium-sized game, but with this spiced dip, it's going to make it
becomes a
big.
gigantic
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Heavy cream. A box of instant vanilla pudding mix. Canned pumpkin.
Okay. All right.
Eternatus. Eternatus spice.
Eternatus spice.
Yes.
It's pumpkin pie
Yes.
spice.
Yes.
Whip that all together. It's creamy. It's light. You're gonna be able to pass your whatever you're dipping in there. You can pass through it. It's not gonna break. This recipe recommended ginger snaps, which I think is genius.
Oh.
That's pretty good.
Apple slices,
Oh.
Oh shit.
cannoli shell.
I like
Can
that.
you do that?
That was kind of a loud left field, but I like
can you
that.
can you do that? Is like the Joker making me do?
Oh, you can do it.
Wait, I just thought about this for the first time. Outside of the shape of a cannoli, can you take the cannoli wrapper and just like,
Put whatever in it.
well, put whatever in it, but also like flatten it out and use it as like what you're suggesting, like as a dip?
I don't know if you have to flatten it though. You
Yeah.
just leave it with a hole in the middle and then you scoop.
Or you can make a really long straw and drink it.
Oh, what do they call those things? The pirouettes.
I don't.
Oh yeah, the little chocolate inside.
Oh
little-
yeah.
The waffle.
You drink like milk with that. Yeah.
Dip those in there. I mean, stick your hands in it.
That'd be good.
There are a lot of options.
Say it's witch's brains. Sweet dip is interesting because it's like pretty. It doesn't occur very often outside of, I would honestly say, the fall season, where everyone's like, we got Halloween and stuff like that. But like maybe like a Nilla wafer would be good
Oh, yeah.
with the dip kind of situation.
But regardless of whatever we're dipping in here, it absolutely needs ridges because this is a thick dip. We need the structural integrity of the.
On the contrary,
Oh,
this is
the thinnest dip.
also wrong. Don't make it a soup.
Yeah.
It's not a soup. This is it's fluffy. It's not going to fight you. You're on the same team. The dip and you want the
Want the same
cannoli
thing.
Yes, in your mouth.
in your mouth, and it's going to do everything it can to get you there.
Okay.
Maybe a biscochito.
Oh, that would be great.
Man.
A biscotti.
Oh, fuck yeah, brother.
Man.
There's all sorts of things you could throw in there, honestly, that would be really good.
Fuck yeah.
But I need to make it clear.
Uh-huh.
It's not going to break, short of like probably some shitty weak chip.
Okay.
Most things are going to pass the test
Okay.
Right.
because even the weakest of Pokemon get big. You can quote me on that.
This is true.
Is that what you have on the sign outside of your gym?
Yeah.
Even the weakest of Pokemon can get swole.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like a picture. What is a love disc on one side and it's got a Machamp on the other kind of situation.
It's like a Magikarp with an 8-pack.
Yeah.
The whole Dynamaxing element of the Sword and Shield games is pretty interesting because like it's like, for the purposes of marketing, it's like, oh fuck yeah, you can make your Pokemon big.
Yeah.
You can make it do fucking crazy shit and like do multiple moves in the same turn and like, oh, that's cool. But then in the storyline, it's like an integral part of the overarching story, and it's like there is this Pokemon that has this like goo, right? and it leaks. And that's what makes them randomly big, but then also you can control because this guy is like secretly controlling the source,
Mhm.
and it's like this, like also this metaphor for like nuclear energy for some reason.
Hmm.
Like it's a little bit confused, quite honestly. But
Are you saying that the world building in the Pokemon games is a little all over the place?
well, I just think it's funny. It's
Yeah.
like they have to keep reinventing the wheel to
Yeah.
like make it interesting from a gameplay perspective. But then
Mhm.
like I'm sure the writers are like, well, what do we do with the fucking Gigantamax?
Yeah.
Like, how do we explain this?
Yeah,
And now
you
they're
know?
now they're teaching kids that steroids are cool.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they are.
Nuclear steroids.
Yes. It's like one of those things where it's like, obviously when you're designing the game, it's like, okay, what's a mechanic we can add to like change up the normal play style? Oh, you have a turn, we have different moves you can go multiple times, but your opponents can also do that too, but you can only do it once per round, so you have to like balance out when you're going to throw these things out there. And it's like, oh, that's pretty reasonable. And then some narrative guys like, explain this away. There's like some thing that does something, and then it causes this to happen. So it's the eternal struggle with telling stories in games, is where you have to match the narrative with the mechanics.
Got to
in that
justify
situation.
everything.
Here's the
Yes.
next mechanic for you,
Uh-huh.
intern. They die. If they
Oh,
if they die in
shit.
the game, they die for real.
real.
So like, Squirtle lands a critical hit with his water gun. The water just cuts right through its head. Pokemon drops to the floor. Done. Like disappears from your team.
Uh-huh.
You have to pay for the funeral.
I can't just bury it in like my yard kind of situation.
300 $.
Yes.
$350, yeah. Yeah, for the cost of a lemonade, you can buy a casket for your Pokemon.
I mean, the economy in Pokemon never made a lot of sense,
No.
if we're being honest with ourselves.
I feel like that would make things easier for the writers, honestly. It's like, yeah, rules.
Then
You
you don't
know,
have
the
to, like-
rules of life are now at play. We don't have to make up any bullshit around a Pokemon Center and
Yeah.
like healing. It's like,
Oh, there's healing, but like
Yeah.
I'm saying, if you like the critical hit is the mechanic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like,
And it just takes them out permanently.
you don't know if
Permadeath.
your Pokemon's gonna die.
Mhm.
If it crits, it's done.
It's gone.
and then when you lose all 6, then
You die.
you die, or you just
I think then you have to like run.
Yeah. So you lose all 6
Forever.
and you're still like in some tall fucking grass, and then like one comes at you and it fights you, and you have to like punch and kick it
Yeah.
kind of situation.
You're like you like get it by the head and like poke its eyes out. Like
Yeah.
The Joy-Cons come off, and you're
yeah.
Yeah. This is why the Switch 2 was delayed, because they have to implement these mechanics.
yeah,
Right.
eye gouging mechanics.
Yes. All right. Let's see who wants to go next. Let's say Evan does.
Oh,
Evan, what's
sure,
your
why
recipe
not?
this week?
So it's true. There's not a lot we can do with this weird looking Pokemon, but
It's also 60 feet tall.
this is true.
whoa.
And I think in the same kind of realm that Ian's going, where like this thing is some sort of powdered substance. We can turn it into some sort of powdered substance, at least, to like flavor our meal. I'm gonna make this week a Eternatumnal dragon fruit chocolate cake.
Whoa.
Oh shit!
Mm.
Yeah,
I love that.
because
fruit.
it is a dragon type, so
Yes.
we're not losing that in this recipe. And I'm presupposing that powdering it into a fine dust might taste a little like dragon fruit. And so what we're going to do with the cake base, it includes a cup of coffee, some
fuck. It's
cocoa
the morning.
some cocoa powder, and a little bit of espresso powder, also sugar, salt, baking soda, eggs, buttermilk, canola oil, vanilla extract, flour, all that good stuff. Turn that into, put it in your fun decorative like bundt pan kind of thing, right? That comes out all nice and hot, and you take it out of your mold, and then we have a little glaze on top that is the dragon fruit glaze, which includes powdered sugar, powdered Eternatus, and some milk. And you just whisk that together, and you get your glaze, and you pour that over the chocolate cake. And voila.
Wow.
Can you eat this cake with a slice of coffee?
With a cup of coffee? Sure.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I mean, you absolutely could. I
Nice.
could, like, it is a little sweet, maybe a little decadent for a morning dessert, but it could be done. Could be done.
Well, you try me. I can eat anything for breakfast.
Okay.
All right. All right.
Sorry, Jeremy. What did you have for breakfast today?
Nothing yet. Coffee.
Wow. Anything. He could if he wanted to.
I could. We're gonna get food after recording
The
this.
definition of privilege.
Yes.
I can eat anything for breakfast, but I refuse to.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe we're having like a potluck, and you bring this in. Evan.
Sure,
That's where I
sure.
assume bunt cakes show up.
Yeah, like maybe like if you really want Jeremy, like a brunch potluck.
Oh fuck, that's a good idea. We should do that sometime.
Wow, this recipe sounds really good though. It's like I like that you brought in autumnal into this conversation yet again.
Yeah.
I'm just like I feel like the most recent episodes we've been doing, like there's so many pulling of that fall food thread that like I'm just ready
You're
for it.
unraveling the autumn sweater of food.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Evan's
I just sent you guys the picture of what it looks like. I
Oh,
think that'll
Nice. Okay, well.
sway my vote.
Evan's
by the way.
the
Swayed my vote because it's a sweater.
the Mr.
Oh fuck, that's crazy.
Evan's the Mr.
It's like
autumnist.
purple. I didn't expect it to be purple.
I gotta say, the way that they like, I don't know if this is just the mold of the cake, but this top-down view just kind of looks like an anus.
It's very sphincter coated. I know it's supposed to be like a lotus, right?
Eternatus.
Yes. It's
That's where the script goes.
yeah, that's where the scrote goes. And like the edges where they're like cutting it off, that's like no, never mind. So I wouldn't use this mold if I were
Well,
if I were baking.
I would make sure all my guests are seated before putting this on the table. So-
because they would all pass out, is what you're saying.
Well, no, they
No.
can't see it from the top
Oh,
down.
yeah.
They're not allowed.
Oh yeah.
in fact, I would give them chairs just a little too short for the table.
Yeah. Just have a really tall cake dish. Like
Yeah.
like 2 feet tall.
I'm just kind of confused. Is it trying to be like flower petals?
Yeah,
I
or
think
what?
that's the idea. Yeah.
I think
Okay.
it's supposed to look like a lotus,
Okay.
like the top-down perspective of a lotus flower. Am I crazy?
Just seems like there's a lot of texture going on for something that seems very simple.
There is
You
a
know what I
lot
mean?
happening to this cake.
Yeah, it's supposed to look like a lotus.
Okay.
It's just
Lucky for
Yeah.
us, Evan
Yeah.
would probably pull out his cock and ball pan to
yes.
mold this, which would be much better.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Great. Ben, what's your recipe this week?
My recipe this week. Okay, so I kind of was scrambling at the last minute here, and I'm
Much
not
like
saying
eggs.
that to. God damn it.
Sorry.
I mean, not entirely inaccurate though. So, and I'm not saying that to garner sympathy points. Just laying it all out there. But my thoughts initially was I was really interested in how it seems to, and the Pokedex entry emphasizes this, that it has the skeletal qualities that I think I wanted to lean into. And for that reason, so I feel like the bones of this Pokemon are really important.
Mhm.
It's also like advertised as this like renewable resource, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, why not? I feel like there's some sort of situation where you can just take a little bit of bone from the Eternatus, and it will like basically regenerate if you are able to kind of like process it in the right way. So I'm imagining that you can, take a snip of its bones, condense it using its magical powers into a gelatin, and then use that to create a gummy candy
Mm-hmm.
that you can then sprinkle some of the Eternatus juice scrote power on, and it will become bigger. So you can start with something small, cut it up into little tiny pieces, then make it bigger, and you can start to create your own Eternatus gummies.
Oh.
Eternatus.
Eat
Yes.
Eternatus.
Yes. Ian.
So I feel like you can do, non-sour variety. You can do a sour variety if you were able to maybe find another Pokemon that you can condense a citric acid like powder from it. And I'm imagining because of the color scheme that it could have it could have a wide range of different flavors along the way that could go from like a grape to a cherry to a plum, even perhaps. And so I feel like there's ways that you can kind of massage the flavor into different like morphs of it, depending on the slice of bone that you are able to extract from it. And so, yeah, I'm feeling like you can just full on like Haribo it and like start to mass market these Eternatus gummies.
Will they make me live forever?
They won't make you live forever, but the supply of gummy will never go out.
So it's,
like,
it's a renewable resource.
It is a renewable resource. Yes.
Ben, ultimate question. Does it come in the Star Mix variety?
The Star Mix.
Have you ever heard of the Haribo Star Mix?
Where they just throw a bunch of like random products in there?
Yeah, it's like all of the everything.
Yeah. I think you could definitely do that. And I think you could complement that with some other less renewable gummy resources to make it kind of a little bit different. But I think you could start like a whole gummy company using these Eternatus gelatin gelatin starters, basically.
Yeah. I like that.
Eternal gelatin. Yes.
Of the spotless mind.
Yes.
Ian.
2 questions.
Okay.
One, could we... I know you're describing this as like the chewy gummy bears or worms, what have you. I was kind of picturing, you know, those chocolate covered, I'm not going to call it a gummy, but it's like a jelly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I do know.
Yes.
Oh,
The little sticks.
Yeah,
Like it might
it
be
has-
like
it has like
orange or raspberry.
Yeah.
Can that happen?
You know, it's I think it depends on your goals as a businessman, as an entrepreneur. In my opinion, I think the Haribo route is a little bit more sustainable. I can't necessarily say that there is a brand name chocolate jelly thing. Like, I don't even know what to call that thing. I know what you're talking about, but like, no one's owned it. You know what I mean?
I'm picturing like I come into the boardroom and I'm like, I have this idea for the and you're like, listen, we need a sustainable business model. Let me sell. We have a brand name. What the fuck is this?
Haribo's
jelly
walking
shit?
all over us.
Yes.
Ben's wearing a suit like 3 times too big. Like,
Yeah. Walks in like David Byrne.
yeah.
Yeah, this just doesn't have enough juice for us to fully invest in. And
It has eternal juice.
But we need to spend our eternal resources wisely. And for that reason, I'm gonna turn down this.
God
this
damn it, Mark
pitch.
Cuban.
But maybe next year, if you can put together a different PowerPoint or something, we can consider
Can
it.
you turn this eternal juice into like socks? Maybe some sort of like bombas?
Oh my god!
Sorry,
what is happening?
I'm on the Shark Tank because the way you described this.
My other question.
Kill it.
My other question, less of a question, more of a comment.
Oh, great. So Ben's up on stage.
Yeah.
just after this movie.
Well, you sort of described it. It's kind of like you're taking like the rib of Adam and creating this
Oh.
Eve product.
Yeah. It's like you're God. How does that make you feel?
I guess I hadn't considered the biblical implications of the or the like metaphorical elements of this properly.
See, what's fun about the Pokemon games is you're just some kid, but then you eventually become better than God because you put them in a Pokemon.
Well, and in the game for Sword, like the guy who behind the scenes is like extracting the Eternatus to make his Dynamaxing goals powerful. I don't even know what his end game was, but like he is like behind the scenes the whole time. He's like the game manager. Like he's got these 2 sides to him, and then at the end he's like, turns out he's evil, right? I feel like I wouldn't do that if I were him. I think I would simply operate out in the open, you know, so that like the Pokemon IRS don't get me or something.
Yeah.
Because that seems like that would be a really hard secret to keep. Like, not only are you like this charismatic person who's like helping the world, quote unquote, but then you're also running like a side business where you're trying to rule the world. Like, that just seems hard.
It's just a small business owner.
I don't know, Ben. Isn't that what all of fucking Congress does every day?
Oh.
Yeah,
And that
all
seems
those
hard.
clowns in Congress.
See, I would not want to do that. That sounds like really difficult, honestly. So if I were, in my opinion, I think I'm just going to stick to the Haribo
I like it.
route. And I don't know if I would want to introduce any biblical metaphors into this because
Okay.
I don't want to garner any sort of negative reputation or
I think-
comparisons.
I think the VeggieTales would come after you if you
Oh my
dipped
god,
into the biblical metaphors.
they would. Fucking Larry would probably write a song about it.
It's a silly song too. Well, I love gummies, so if we could make them sustainably, I would appreciate that.
Never-ending resource.
Never-ending resource. My recipe is kind of, how all of your recipes are like, I'm looking at the Pokemon and then I'm building off of that. My recipe is I'm looking at the name of the Pokemon and building off of that. And you know how last week we just made a bunch of jokes like, oh, Eternatus, kind of situation. We did
It's still funny.
I mean, it is still funny.
To this day.
To this day, 1 week later. Well, I was looking at the word Eternatus.
Not a real word, by the way.
And not a real word. No, it's a proper noun. It doesn't count in Scrabble. And I was like, what I was thinking here, and the Tussie jokes were floating through my head, and I was like, yes, I was sleeping one night, and then I remembered that there's a place in the world that begins with those letters. It's called Tuscany, so we're gonna make some Eternatuscany onion soup this week, and it's gonna be similar to what you guys said with the kind of like the goo or dust or whatever, like the energy
Dusty
that
goo.
we're getting from the Eternatus. We're gonna put it into our as this website carabaccia, a Tuscan onion soup this week. So we're making Eternatuscan onion soup. So the thing with onion soup, I don't know if you guys made a French onion soup or anything like that, is you need a shit ton of onions.
Yes.
This one calls for 4 pounds of onions. Which is a lot of onions kind of situation. So what I think we can partly use the Eternatus for, is described by like Ian and Evan, is that we could get some like larger elements. I guess Ben played in this as well, where it's like it's eternally restoring, but we can make one big onion and have that used for our onion soup kind of situation.
I like to imagine like that meme of like the scientist like stock photo image of the guy and he's like pouring like liquids into each other.
Yes.
I like to imagine him with just like a dropper on one onion, like dropping a single drop and then it goes.
Yep, that's 100% what we're doing this week.
Okay.
So we got a big onion, but we also need olive oil, kosher salt, sage, black pepper, cinnamon. This is an important one. Ground almonds, red wine vinegar, and beef broth for our soup base. And then we're also going to get a nice thick slice of cheesy toast in there, kind of situation. We're going to get some Italian bread, olive oil, sage leaves, Parmesan cheese as well. And it's very similar to a French onion soup kind of situation where you boil down your onions until it's like very thick, like kind of broth kind of situation. You're going to get your bread and it's going to be like, you're going to cheese it up, kind of like fry it a little bit, put it in your soup, broil it with the soup and your ramekins kind of situation. And then for an extra garnish, we're going to get that Eternatus spice and we're going to sprinkle it on top. And that will give it a little more zing than your normal French onion soup, Tuscan onion soup, this situation. So it's my
Does that make the soup bigger or the flavor different?
It makes the flavor bigger.
Oh.
All right.
Okay.
I like that.
It makes the flavor bigger.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Ian.
What are we dipping in?
What do we dip it? Well, we do have a slice of bread in there already, so we can have like just a mountain of cheesy bread next to you kind of situation, which is it's a funny way to call like slices of bread with cheese melted on top of them. It's not, you're not like going to like Domino's here and like picking up like cheesy twists or whatever. Though you could do that if you wanted to. And I would say maybe like a hearty cracker as well can be available. To like, get in like the ridges, the corners of your soup there to pick up the stray onions.
That's interesting that you want to use a like solid thing to get into the curves of the bowl. Wouldn't you want like a spongy piece of bread that can like conform to the shape of the vessel?
Well, I was thinking that a more solid cracker perhaps could help accumulate onion particles and pieces on top of it. You know what I'm saying?
No.
And you can use it as like a spoon, an extra spoon that you can eat.
I would need to see it in practice.
Okay,
Yeah.
you can crack this.
Oh. I was going to ask what the difference is between a Tuscan onion soup and a French onion soup. I feel like you kind of went over it a little bit, but in my mind, it's a French thing.
Yeah,
not a Tuscan thing.
I can't tell you because this recipe doesn't tell me. But this is what all recipes is saying when I was like looked up Italian recipes and I sorted it by Tuscan.
Is it like less like, because I feel like the French are just like, just fucking put a giant thing of cheese on top, and then the Italians are like, let's put the cheese on the bread.
It might be that's it. I do love a good onion soup though.
Can't
And,
tell
yeah.
Especially if someone can whip that out and I don't have to make it because it's a very laborious process. Because you have to boil down those onions for like a day kind of situation.
Yeah.
It's tough stuff, but that's my recipe.
I know it's pretty basic of me, but when I go to Panera Bread, that is what I get. It's the French onion
Nice.
soup.
I mean, it's really damn good.
In a bread
Yeah.
bowl.
In a fucking bread bowl. It's like, God, you could just like a bread. It's like a savory gusher if you think about it.
Oh, baby.
Oh,
Let's review our recipes. From Ian, we have Eternatus pumpkin spice dip. From Evan, we have Eternatus dragon fruit cake. From Ben, we have Eternatus eternal gummies. And for me, we have Eternatuscan soup. So everyone please vote.
Well, everyone ready?
Well, hold on.
wait.
Hold on.
Okay, I think everyone should be ready
Everyone
first.
vote.
No.
Are you
Wait,
ready?
are we ready?
Oh, I
Nope,
just sent
we're
it.
going. Evan
Okay.
wins.
Oh, and I voted for Ian.
Thank you.
All right. I mean, look, the picture of that cake definitely leaned in the Eternatusy thing the most out of all of our recipes.
Yeah, we're all ass men. What can I say?
Yeah.
What?
All right. Let's move on to everyone's favorite section, Whale Lord's Mail Horde, where we read your email sent into ichoosepod@gmail.com. It's ICHEWSPOD@gmail.com. Evan, can you read this email from Mike?
Mike says, "Hey boys, Eternimax Eternatus is a big hand. Have Zatian, the sword doggo, use his big ass sword to chop those fingies off, bread them, use a colossal to heat up big ass pot of oil. Those in fingies. Cook until golden brown. Enjoy with your favorite sauce. I see. So they're like mozzarella
fingers.
sticks or chicken
Yeah.
fingers.
Oh, filled with Eternatus goo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
I kind of like that.
All right. Ben, I heard we have an email from Jordan.
Jordan writes, so Icy Crew, on the Bulbapedia page, it says, quote, Eternatus's poison has the capability of altering people's behavior, making them violent and selfish. And there's only one thing that makes me think of gin.
Nice.
I propose a recipe for the darkest day, for the darkest day, a twist on a white lady cocktail. Usually more bright and zesty, this version uses Eternatus poison mixed with black sambuca, which is shaken with chilled egg whites. Finally, rather than lemon peel, the drink is served with a chocolate Pocky
Nice.
on top
Nice.
because it sort of looks like the spiky bits of the original Pokemon. Okay, I like that.
I like
That's
it.
funny.
It's rough, but it certainly puts hairs on your chest.
Nice. ...
They also say, P.S. Every time I hear the opening of this season's theme song, I think it's going to turn into ABBA's Money, Money, Money. Which I think just means that we need to make an album of
ABBA
Pokemon-related ABBA covers.
She's a dancing Nido queen.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for writing in, both Mike and Jordan. We appreciate it. Now let's move on to Pick'emon, where we pick next week's Pokemon. Evan, can you randomly generate a number between 810 and 905?
Yes, except
Uh-oh.
810 905. Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go. Vamp.
Guys, we're getting towards the end of this season. I'm just
Yeah.
realizing this.
Yeah.
We are.
What
Yeah.
the hell?
We should probably make a theme song for this season before it's
Yeah.
Before it's too late. Next week would be 865.
865. Have we done this one before? No, we haven't. This is actually a good one. 865. Next week's Pokemon is Sirfetch'd.
Nice.
Oh yes, let's go.
Okay, I gotta
Let's
say,
go.
it's a good thing I'm back because I'm picking the good ones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, brother.
I mean, yeah, I guess I just don't have the right touch with the the random number generator.
That magic
always-
mind. I got
yeah,
that
it was
magic
like-
mind.
It
Yes.
could tell, and it was like, I'm gonna give you the cock and balls one.
Yeah, as Ian says. Well, send in your Sirfetch'd recipes to ichoosepod@gmail.com. That's ichewspod@gmail.com. Let's do the plug section. Ben, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me on the internet on Twitter and Instagram at Ben C. Montoya, or you can find me on Tumblr at thefearandnow.tumblr.com. And I just thought about, in addition to our ABBA covers, we can do, instead of Waterloo, water type. Water type.
Ian's on board with this.
Yeah. Gotta throw in a musical joke for Ian every
Yes.
once in a while.
Otherwise, I don't get it.
Speaking of... Yeah.
Because you can follow.
Speaking of what...
I can do my own transition, Jeremy. I'm a
Okay.
big kid now.
Yeah.
Follow me at Music Ian Davis on Instagram.
Excellent. Evan.
Yeah, you can witness me finish this movie on Instagram at _Mesa Studio _ That's MESA Studio.
It's looking real good.
Looking real good. I sent Ben a little sneaky peeks of one scene.
Spoilers.
Wow.
Looking primo.
Primo indeed. All right. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Velocity Prime 1. You can follow me on Tumblr at Velocity Prime No 1. You can check out my writing at the-avocado.org. Jeremy Zelick at the-avocado.org. All right. Let's wrap up the show. This has been I Choose You, the podcast about cooking needy Pokemon. You can find us on your favorite podcasting app, including Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, and Spotify, or your podcast catcher of choice. If you like our show, make sure to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify to help us go up the ranks. If you want more I Choose You goodness, check out our social media pages, I Choose Pod, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Threads, Tumblr, and Blue Sky. Last but not least, oh no, I skipped ahead because it's the morning still. Head on over to our Discord, I Choose You Discord. You can hang out with fellow choosies, submit recipes, and we have a special event coming up. That's right, on October 27th. Is this correct?
Mm-hmm.
We're having a spooky, not scary movie night on the I Choose You Discord. Feel free to hop on over. We'll catch a flick. I'll put it together. I still got that Nicole Kidman ad with Pokemon edited together from the last time we did this. So that's October 27th, spooky movie night in the I Choose You Discord. Last but not least, head on over to our official website, ichooseyou.menu. ichooseyou.menu has a full episode archive and merch store for your perusal, and including the Poke Burger t-shirt. Buy the Poke Burger t-shirt. Everyone loves it. And that's ichooseyou.menu. This has been the show. I've been your host and Dalton Brown and Group, Jeremy Zelick.
I've been your friend on the show, Ben Montoya.
I've been your Chuck Brown, Ian Davis.
And Evan Aubrey.
And to all the choosies out there in Radioland, in a while, Totodile.
I wanna be the greatest chef, like no one ever was. To cook them is my real test, to taste them is my cause. I will travel across the land, searching far and wide. Each Pokemon to understand the flavor that's inside. I choose you, gotta cook 'em. It's you and me. Better than Jeremy, I choose you. Oh, we're your best friends. In this world we must digest. I choose you, gotta cook 'em all. Our appetite will pull us through. You roast me and I'll roast you. I choose you.